Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I am Everardo Resendiz. People around here know me as Coach Ever. I am a certified executive and business coach with Action Coach in Northwest Louisiana. Today, I have Nicole Lowe, the founder and CEO of Redefine Her LLC, as my guest. Today, we're going to be talking about her business, the journey to business ownership, challenges with practices, and share a peek into what it really is like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. And so, Nicole, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Will you share with us a little overview of your background and tell us a little bit about this business of yours?
So, my background goes back to training and development when I used to be a school teacher, up until the point it led me into being HR, and then from there into being an executive director. And so, after being an executive director, I was able to do what I call a gap analysis and kind of determine some key needs for the people that I served, which led me to create Redefine Her LLC. It is a for-profit company that my goal is not only to consult, but to provide workshops to bring people to the next level in their career.
Good. So, set the stage for the listeners. Um, what is your current ownership structure? Are you a sole owner? Do you have any partners in this endeavor?
I am a sole owner and I've decided to do it as an LLC. I may decide later to change that, but right now it's going to be a LLC, sole owner.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about the role that you currently play in this business.
So I play the founder and the program director. So I wear multiple hats. As we know, sometimes when you are starting a business, you don't have sometimes a luxury to bring on a staff right away. So I am developing my marketing plan. I am developing the core curriculum for the workshops. I am developing the budget. I am doing all aspects of my business, as well as going out there talking to people and marketing as well, trying to get more involved in the community.
Fair enough. And so, when you look at your role, right, some of it is basically working in the business, doing the things that your business requires from, the financial part, the marketing, sales part, the actual delivery of the services that you're providing. Um, and then you have the other role that you have as founder and CEO, which is, the vision casting, the planning, the really looking beyond the horizon to see what's out there. So
Right.
how much of your time is on these two roles or in these two places, the in the business part, the on the business part?
I probably would say I try to balance that where it's probably like a 60-40. For me, I find, because my background, I have an MBA in business. So I find that sometimes you have to go back and rethink your strategy. And so I'm constantly thinking that, is my strategy competitive? Is it going to get me where I'm going? Oh, I have a new competitor. What do I need to do? So I'm constantly monitoring my strategy to make sure I'm staying on pace, but at the same time, bouncing enough that I'm also getting out there in the community, talking to people, letting them know about what services I do offer. I made a lot of good contacts when I was executive director, so I can use those as to funnel additional contacts as I progress in my business. But I think the biggest thing is just always looking at, is this going to get me to where I want to go? What's my goal? And is the strategy I have right now going to get me to that goal?
Love it. And so let's move on to what makes your business so special. So, who primarily does your business serve? If I were in the audience, how will I know I was a good fit for your product or service?
Well, based off the name Redefine Her, is it's to help any woman actually who wants to pretty much go to the next level in her career or just in life in general. But I also serve as men as well. I mean, some of my courses, for instance, is personal branding. I don't think people realize how much personal branding plays a critical role when people perceive you. I mean, people are going to make their decision about you before you even open up your mouth sometimes. And so your personal branding has to be on point. So it can be for anybody, but it was originally designed and developed to help women, any woman, whether she's 18 years old up until she's 60 or more. You never know what point in life you want to try to change up things and do something different and new.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. Do you have a lot of competition in this realm of what you're trying to do?
So far from what I see, Not in this particular realm. Now, there are some nonprofits and there's some other companies that offer services, but I think mine's hit a little bit more home where it's personalized. I mean, you can go anywhere and get a resume written. You can go anywhere and get interview tips. You can go anywhere and somebody can style you, but I'm trying to teach you things so that way when you go back to your house, you can still continue to move forward with it. It's not just something that you learn at the moment and I fix it. I'm giving you the skills to take it for lifelong.
That is amazing. And so, yeah, I cannot recall ever talking to somebody that actually dedicated themselves to doing that. I know that there are some services, like you said, that are from nonprofits, possibly at no cost or maybe low cost, that are set to kind of help people go back into the workforce or to, help them
Right.
in rebuilding their lives, right? Um, what you're talking about though seems to me like it's beyond that. It's for those who want to do a little bit more. They need to, step up in where they are and they need to go further. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yes, you are.
Okay. All right. And so evidently there are not a lot of competitors, right? But there's a uniqueness to what you offer. What would you say that is?
I think the uniqueness is more of a holistic approach. I think sometimes companies focus on one aspect, but there's so many pieces to that puzzle to bring it together. And so, with that being said, um, like I said, I can go to you and show you how to style yourself, and you'll put the pieces together again because I did it for you when we were present. But I want to teach you how to do it when you get back home. How to take something out of your closet and make the most out of it and do it hands on. So in that way, as you start to see, it'll change your way of thinking. You'll see it in a new light. So in that way, it's not just a repeat of what somebody told you. You can now be creative in what you're doing in order to sustain yourself.
That is amazing. So can I ask, Nicole, what got you into this in the first place?
Well, first of all, I just have a spirit to serve. I love serving people. I love seeing people go to the next level. When I was a middle school teacher in South Central Los Angeles, I always told my students, go and be better than me because I want to give you the tools to succeed. And so I think sometimes a lot of people just don't know what's available to them. They don't know what resources are out there. They don't know that they can get help. And then sometimes if they want help, they think it's going to cost them an astronomical price. My background, like I said, is in training education. I have an MBA, but I also am a certified stylist. I went to fashion school. So that way it taught me how to not only create my own pieces, but to build a wardrobe. And I think, the typical, for instance, stylist or image consultant can cost you almost $1,000. Well, most people don't have that money to pay that, but they still don't mean they don't want to go to the next level in how they present themselves. And if I could present it to you at a lower cost and give you the tools so that way you can continue to do it afterwards, it makes you continue to succeed and not have to have your hand held as you go through the process. You eventually be independent enough to do it on your own.
All right. So I know that you said that your business is conceptualized, originated as directed towards women, right? Is
Mhm.
there a specific age group or a something that characterizes them in your vision for these clientele you want to build?
So mostly it's working class women right now. And as you know, that can range because some people have to go back to work because, finances. So at some point, though, we are going to focus more on the youth because I feel like as they come up and out of high school and they're preparing for the working world, they need to know the skill set as well. And I think sometimes we forget about that. We just want to tell them what they should go get a job, but then we don't know how to help them navigate when they get there and see how those emotions, they're still learning as they transition from being 18 years old to going to a 21-year-old, all those things come into play while they're trying to find themselves. So any working class person, I mean, I'll help anyone, but any working class person that's ready to go to the next level, that's who I want to help.
Good. Okay. So what is one thing you wish more people knew about your business?
One thing I wish more people knew that is personalized. I can customize it to where you are. I can meet you where you are. I'm not trying to come tell you what you should be. I want you to determine what you want to be and then work to get there if it's going to make you successful and reach your goals.
Love it. Thank you so much for that. Well, this leads me into perhaps a marketing conversation, right?
Mhm.
It's something that most business owners out there, maybe don't pay enough attention to. Um, and it really is the life and blood of the business, right? How do we get the word out there that this is what we're doing? And so I'm always curious about what successful people are doing. Is there a plan? Is there a budget to it? How do you decide what's the best approach to getting to the people that you want to reach?
So marketing can be costly, as you know, especially if you want to compete with some of your major competitors. But there's so many ways that you can start to build. You can use social media to build. For me, a lot of it's going to be word of mouth because of the type of services. I'm not offering a necessary product that I'm trying to promote to people, but more of a service. And I think as more and more people take part of that service, the word of mouth will begin to flourish for me. But you have so many other areas. You can do Facebook ads at a low cost. You can do Instagram. I would say TikTok, but I'm not sure how much longer we're gonna have TikTok with the
That's true.
government being involved. Um, but the goal is to reel people in, but you got to find what it is that captures their attention. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it, but you have to be consistent. Consistency is the key. Using LinkedIn as a networking tool that also can provide you, clients as well. You have to be able to promote yourself and use the avenues that are free to you and then build that so that at some point in time, you can market on a greater scale. In addition, networking doesn't cost much to network. Are you present at different events? Are you there to meet people and talk to them? You are your best selling tool. Can you get there and tell somebody what you're going to do in 60 seconds or less than what you can achieve?
Right.
So you have to find those avenues and use them. And then as you grow, your budget can grow and then you can start to do more. But sometimes you don't have to do a lot of marketing. If you're good at what you do and word of mouth gets out, people will come.
That's right. That's right. It really is about the consistency in delivery. But you're right. There's many tools out there that we don't use to their potential. Well, let me then shift a little bit and ask you about the journey that you've been going through, right? So you
Mhm.
chose to start this business yourself, to go into business for yourself, as opposed to perhaps going to work for somebody else, right?
Mhm.
So what was that transition like for you? Why the choice? And you have any second thoughts?
I I do not have any second thoughts, but I think for me, I've been working since I'm 16, so it's been almost 40 something years soon. And my thought is this, I like to work for a company that has vision. Some companies do, some companies don't. If you don't have a vision and a goal, then you kind of get lost somewhere along the way in your path. And for me, I have to know that you know where you're going. I want a leader that can lead. And if I feel like you don't know where you're going, it's going to be hard for me to buy into your concept, what you're trying to get me to do, because you don't have a full idea of what that is. And so after working for different companies and seeing that you can being in HR, hiring somebody that you prefer to hire because you know them versus them having a skill set to do the job. After a while, that gets a little old because it creates a burden for other employees to take the slack. And
Right.
so I decided I want to be my own boss because I do have a vision. I know what I want to do. I know how I want to help people, even the employees that I bring on at some point in time. I want them to be trained and cross-trained so that way they can take this skill set, whether they stay with me or go with somebody else, they can take it somewhere else and be just as successful. You have to have a vision. And sometimes you get tired of working for people who don't have a vision about what they're doing and where they're going. And so, no, do I have any regrets? No, none whatsoever.
All right, very good. Well, let me ask you this. Where do you see this business in the next 3 to 5 years?
Next 3 weeks, I see myself traveling because I think we will grow to the point that other people will demand our services outside of the area that we're in now. I think as I progress and Because if you think about it, it's workshops, but it's also a motivational type of business as well, because I'm pushing people to be their best. And so I do see me growing, or I should say us, because I plan on having a team, to the point that we'll be traveling because we'll be in demand where people will want our services elsewhere.
Love it. And so, what has been your approach to goal setting? And by that, I mean, how many goals do you set at a time? How do you document them? What's the time frame that you give yourself for these things?
Well, I am a journaler. I like to journal everything. So I keep my little notebook and dates, and I keep my goals in there. I don't set too many because I don't want to overwhelm myself. I might do 3 to 5 goals and make sure I accomplish those things, whether it's quick task that needs to be done or whether it's something long term. Have I met this? I like to do a strategic plan based it off of the different quarters. Okay, this quarter, this is what I want to do. This next quarter, so that way I'm making sure I'm staying on track. And so those goals keep me my focus directed, make sure I stay on track, and then make sure I accomplish those things. And if I don't accomplish it, it's going back and saying, okay, what did I do wrong? How do I need to readjust this? Hold myself accountable.
Love it. And so, the point though is that you are setting goals and you're writing them down, and they remain in front of you, reminding you that you need to be um,
Correct.
pursuing them. I love that. And so, we have certainly covered a lot of ground. I'm sure that for those who are watching, they'll find some nuggets in here that will be useful in their decision making, in their development, in their growth. And so I encourage people to always come back and watch it a few times. You never know what you can find in there. And the funny part is that as you can probably tell, you go through life, you learn all these lessons, and so they don't coalesce until you hear something else that
Hmm.
suddenly triggers
Yes,
that. And
true.
so, as we begin to wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions. Okay, so quick top of head answers for each. Okay, um, number one, what is the key to success for you?
Discipline. Discipline. Um, Go ahead.
All right, define discipline for me, please, and for our audience. How do you see it?
Holding yourself accountable, making sure that you're doing what you say you're going to do and following through with it. Um, I say this because when you're on a job and you're working for somebody else, you have deadlines, you have reports that are due, and you have to do it because if not, your boss will hold you accountable. But when you're working for yourself, you don't have that anymore. And sometimes you get lax because you think, oh, I'll do it another day because you don't have anyone to answer to. But if you hold yourself accountable, it takes discipline. Discipline is not easy. You got to make sure that you hold yourself accountable and do what you said you're going to do and fall through with it. And if it don't work, get back up and do it again.
Good. And so, what is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
Be patient. It may not seem like much in the beginning, but if you remain consistent, it eventually will come to flourish. But you got to remain consistent and be patient. Don't let these side hustles fool you. A lot of these side hustles have worked diligently to get to where they are now. It might not look like they did it overnight, but if you go back and look at some of their stories, it took them time to get to where they are now.
Wholeheartedly agree. What is one book that you're reading now or you have read and you want to encourage people to get their hands on?
It would probably be uh, start with why, and I'm trying to think of the author right now, and I can't, it escapes me. But it tells you about why, actually, why are you doing what you're doing? If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, then what are you doing it for? What's the purpose behind it?
Love it. So, if you had to choose only one area of your business that you could immediately, like right now, improve, right? Like tomorrow, what will that be?
One area that I immediately approve, like tomorrow, hmm, I think that would be, that's a good question. That one kind of caught me. Um, wow. For tomorrow, I think it would just be the notoriety of the business. I think I have a couple of good clients that are start to set me off because of their stands in the community, but I think a little bit more notoriety would just really cause the business to take off.
Very good. And so before we get into the final question of the day, how can other people learn about you and your company? How do they get in touch with you?
So the best way is just to contact me directly. We're revamping the website only because I'm going off of word of mouth right now. So a lot of people won't be looking for me, so to speak. So it's just best if they check out my LinkedIn profile and they can message me that directly from there and I can reach out to them as well.
Very good. And so your final question today, what do you find is most inspiring for you?
For me, it's always been helping people. So that's always been my drive is as long as I can help somebody. I've always been one for the underdog, and I hate to say that anybody's an underdog, but sometimes you just feel like that in life, that nothing goes right for you, and you just wish somebody would give you the opportunity to do, you know, some of the things you would like to do. As long as I can help somebody, that's going to always be my drive.
Excellent. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all these with us. Thank you to the audience for watching and sharing. You never know who might be inspired by listening or watching this interview. So make sure that it goes out. Make it a great day. Until next time.